Now, just before Christmas, Tom removed these two boilers from the flats, which are just next door. And these are Heatline Vizo Band B condensing boilers. And he's removed them because he says they're uneconomical to repair. So it got me thinking, can I make one good boiler out of these two knackered ones? Anyway, let's get on with it and see if we can. Now, these two Heatline Vizo boilers are from 2007. So they've not done too bad, have they, considering they're Band B boilers. And I know when they were installed, because I installed them. And then Tom's ripped them out and he's put Ideals in their place. So, before we get started, I thought I'd have a brew. And as you can see, I'm having a brew in our new merch. So this is our gas rating mug. So it's got a picture of me on the front, and on the back it's got gas rating. So if you forget the gas rate procedure, you've got it there. We've also done a tightness test mug, and we've also done the same thing for phone cases. So if you want one, just get down to the link in the description below and have a look. Anyway, now the plug is over, let's finally get on with it. Cheers. So first thing I thought was I'd put the bracket on the wall and do everything on the wall. So that's what you would do on site rather than it being on a bench. But I can't use that one, can I? Luckily enough, because these two boilers, we've got one decent bracket. So first thing to do is get this bracket on the wall. I'm going to have a look at these closely then, see which I think has got the best casing and the least amount of leaks. And then we're going to completely strip it. So, come on then. Now if we look at the bottom of these two boilers, we can see there's quite a bit of rust there, so it's been leaking, and there's a bit here but a lot less. So I think we'll take the covers off and see if this one here on the left is in better nick than the one on the right. Now I know one of them didn't turn on, so guess the board had gone, and the other one didn't work on hot water, but I haven't got a clue which one is doing those things. So let's take these covers off and have a look. So now the covers are off, you can see they are Band B boilers, and they're actually atmospheric burners. So these are not pre-mixed, they're atmospheric. And what makes them a Band B is this secondary heat exchanger here at the top. Now, looking at this one, it actually looks in better condition than this one here. This one's been leaking on this side here. So, and also, this one has got a knob missing. And if we look inside, you can see where the leak was happening down at the bottom. Always leak there, and I bet the other one is leaking as well. Oh yes. Renowned for leaking on that connection. So I'm actually going to use the casing off this one rather than that one. But I guess I better check the expansion vessels first before I put them on the wall. As I'm tipping these up, there's water coming out everywhere. So let's try this one first, because this is the one I'm hoping to use. Doesn't sound like there's much air in that one. So is it set on bar? It is. Let's screw it on, see what it comes up with. Nothing. Absolutely nothing on this one. Let's is this going to throw water out when I put it on? So according to my little gauge, that's now got 1 bar of pressure in it. Okay, so that's got 1 bar in it. Check the other one. Still reading 0 on the gauge. This hasn't got any pressure in it either. This one is pouring water out everywhere. Now you know why I'm on the kneeling mat. So that's 0.4 of a bar. Anyway, we don't really need to worry about this one, do we? But neither expansion vessel had any pressure in them. Now before we put the boiler on the wall, we might as well check the air pressure switch first. Now what we're going to do is, we're going to test this air pressure switch. Now this air pressure switch only has 2 prongs on it. The third one's taken away, so it'll have common and normal. Open. So if I get my multimeter, put it together on continuity on the buzzer, go onto the 2 prongs, we shouldn't get a buzz, which we're not. Now I've connected one of the tubes to it, and you shouldn't really do this when you're testing it. But what I'm going to do is, I'm on the negative side, I'm going to suck, and then we should get a reading if it's working. So nothing wrong with this one, so we're all right for that. Well, that's the boiler on the wall. I think what we'll do is, I'll start stripping it down here. The first thing I'm going to do is spray WD-40 on that nut. Now, one of the good things about these boilers, if it can have any good things, is the side panels come off. So I just need to remove the 3 screws on this side. So there's one here at the bottom, one here in the middle, and one at the top. Then, with a bit of persuasion, it comes off and it just lifts up. So that's one off. Let's do the other side. Again, just lifts off. So that's giving me now better access down here at the bottom. Now the first thing I'm going to do is remove this head off the motor for the diverter valve, so I can gain access at this incredibly rusty nut. Now there is a clip just at the back here which we can just pull off, and I'll put it there, and then that's the motor, and we'll just unwire it, and we can check that later to see if it's working. Now I should be able to get onto this really dodgy nut now, and I'm going to need a 30mm spanner. So I've got my 30mm on that side, 32mm on this side. Here goes. Hopefully our WD-40 worked. Oh, it did work, because that came off quite easily. Now, will this one come off as easy here on the side? Well, nearly as easy. So, that's the 2 screws here done. What I'm going to do now is unscrew it from the plate heat exchanger, and then undo the screws under here, and then this left hand side of the hydro block should come out. Now to get onto the screw at the bottom of the plate, I'm going to need a T or a torque 25, but to give me better access to this screw at the bottom, I'm just going to drop this control panel down So this should come out of the way. There you go, that makes it a bit easier to get on there. And then we can get on this screw. Hopefully it isn't seized, which it isn't. So there's one down here at the bottom, and then the other one is on this side here. Ooh, which is a little bit more stiff. So that's one out on the floor. And that's now, the actual plate is off, so there is a T20 screw under here which we need to undo, and then it'll come out. So I just need to get on this screw here. And now it should come out. So here we go. All I got to do now is get rid of the hot water thermistor, which is on the side there. So now this enables us to be able to strip this and check it inside to make sure it's working. So that's the left hand side out. Let's get the gas valve out now. Now, first thing I'm going to do with the gas valve is remove these two wires. And this tube here, which vents off into the combustion chamber. Again, there's a screw underneath, but I don't want to undo that screw first. So, I'm going to get the nut on the bottom, which is a 30mm. And the nut at the top, which is a 24. It should just twist out now. And then it actually drops down, and there is like a little rubber in here which is quite perished. So there's a fibre washer on top of the gas valve, and then there should be like a rubber washer inside there, which, as you can see, has got quite squashed. So we're going to have to replace that washer. I'll take it off the other one, see if that one's better. Anyway, that's out now. All we need to do is undo the top 20 screw underneath, and then it'll come out. I kept saying screw. There's actually two screws. So one here. And then the second one is here. So that's the second screw out, so this should just lift out. And we can take off the power here. So now we can just get a posi 1 screwdriver onto the screw. And then the power should pull off. Without bending all the pins. So that's that out, and the gas valve out once we've disconnected the earth off the bottom. Simple as that. So now you can see we can actually take out the plate. Easy enough. And it just leaves us with the right hand side hydro block. I'm going to take the pump head off first. See what the state of the pump is like before I take this side out. Let's get on with that then. I can't find my long reach Allen keys anywhere. So I'm going to take it all out in one unit. First thing I need to do is remove this pipe off this pressure relief valve. Then I need to remove this nut here off the pressure gauge. And then I can take the Hall effect sensor off and the wires going to the low water pressure sensor. So I'm going to need a 22mm spanner to get onto this nut. Now I'm going to need to take out the pressure gauge, so I need a 14mm spanner for this. That came out easier than I thought it was going to do. Now I need to take off the Hall effect sensor. Take the wires off for the low water pressure sensor. So they're all out. So all I need to do now is undo this return nut off the top here and undo the screws underneath. Now I need to take off this flexi pipe going to the expansion vessel. Hopefully it doesn't snap, which is not looking like it isn't going to do. No, it's not going to come off that way. So I'm going to have to take it off there. So let's see if we can get this out. So there is a clip on the back here, which I might be able to get with the grips. If not, I'll need a flat screwdriver. There you go, that's out. It might come out this way, yep. So all we've got to do now is unwire the pump. So on the pump, basically, there's just quick release clips. So all we got to do is push that down and it comes out, push that down and it comes out, and push that down and this should all come out. There you go, pump's out. Well, that's everything taken out. Let's get the parts upstairs, get them stripped and cleaned and see what repairs we need to do. So let's start by looking at this plate-to-plate heat exchanger. So if we take a closer look inside, we can see it is pretty damn dirty inside there. If we look on the other side, you can see, yep, it needs a good cleaning out. But if we have a look at the water side, here in the northwest, you can see we have pretty good quality water, and that hasn't got any lime scale in there, so we just need to clean out the heating side. Now, I'm not a real big lover of cleaning plates. I'd rather replace, but if you've got a dirty central heating system and it's full of magnetite and sludge, why would you bother putting in a new plate without cleaning the system? So I think actually cleaning this out is a waste of time unless you actually clean the central heating system. But because this is only an experiment, I'm going to try and clean it out. Now, some guys use drain cleaner, some people use acid, some use vinegar. I'm just going to try and put some heating cleaner in, because that's what it's supposed to do. And this has come in handy. A tub from the Christmas sweets. So I'm just going to place it in here, and I'm going to tip this into here. So here goes, let's see what happens. So it's completely full. And what we'll do is we'll leave it and see what happens and come back to it later. Now, first part we're going to look at is this left side of the hydro block, or the diverter valve. Now, if we look down in here, this is always a telltale sign if the seals have gone. But it isn't, it's really clean inside there, and it pushes down really easily. So we're going to strip it and see what it's like inside, but that is really a good sign that this has been working and it hasn't got water in the motor. We are going to test the motor. We're also going to look at here first, which is the thermistor for the hot water. So I'm just going to take that out and we'll clean it up, or we'll have a look at it and see if it needs cleaning up. Actually, trying to replace these on the boiler is a bit of a nightmare, and they do have a slot on the underside of the boiler to help us do this. Ooh. Now, that's not good. That could be one of the reasons why it's not working on hot water. It could be this thermistor and the plate being blocked up. So let's give this a good clean up and stick it back in. If it doesn't work, then we'll try the one off the other one. Now I've cleaned the thermistor up with my multi-tool and a bit of wire wool. So I've decided I'm going to test it before I put it in, because that kind of makes sense. So I've got my multimeter set on ohms, and I've got a warm cup of water and a cold cup of water. So this is a negative temperature coefficient thermistor. So the higher the temperature, the lower the reading. So when I stick it in the hot water, that'll give us a baseline, and then when I go into the cold water, we should get a higher figure. So let's see what it is in the hot water first. So what we're getting there, 9. So as it's cooling down, it's going up, so that's a good sign. So if I put it into the cold water now, we should get a higher figure than what we just got there. Which we have. We've got 13. So that's basically telling me this should be okay. It's only an experiment, but it's showing us it should be okay now, even though all I've done is clean it up. Let's put it back in and start stripping the cartridge. Next, I'm taking out the cartridge, so I'm going to use my 32mm spanner on this plastic end. Sounds a little bit crunchy. Bit of rust on there. Ooh, that's going to need a good cleaning up. Let's have a look on the back side. This is where the spring is. Again a bit cruddy. There's a spring, and then there should be this little end here. So this is one of the problems with these. On something like the old glowworms, you could actually take the full thing out. On this one you can't, you have to go from either end. So let's give these a good washing and a clean them up a bit with a bit of wire wool, and then we'll put them back. Now, while all the parts for the diverter valve are soaking, I thought I would check the motor. So the middle of the 3 prongs down here is a neutral, and then the one on the right drives it out and the one on the left drives it in as we're looking at it. So at the moment you can see it's actually down. So if I put power onto this now, it should drive up. Well, that's a good start. Now if I swap the wires around, it should drive it down. Well, that motor is perfect, so no need to replace that. Now it's time to put the cartridge back. I've cleaned this out best I can. I'll just give these a bit of wash in soapy water. I'm going to spray inside here with a bit of silicone spray. And I'm going to spray all the different components. So I've cleaned the shafts up. There is a bit of a score there, but it doesn't go near the O-ring. So it's going to go in through this way, because this is the back side. So again, because there's an O-ring inside there, and there's an O-ring here as well. So I'm just going to bladder it with silicone spray. Now I'm going to feed this in, and again with this one, there is another O-ring inside there, and you can feel the resistance on the shaft when you put it back in and pull it back. Obviously these should be replaced, but we're just doing an experiment, aren't we? Again, I'll bladder that on there. I'm going to slide this through the hole here and then push this bit onto here. Okay, now centralizing it is the problem. So we've got the spring, and again I'm just going to put some oil on this spring, and that fits over the shaft, and then this is the end what connects to the plate. So there's a rubber seal in there. Again, I've cleaned it all up. I've just flipped it over. I haven't replaced it, and I've bladdered it again with silicone spray. This is going to centralize everything for us, hopefully. Once we get it started. So you can feel that pushing in, and it's just this end cap now. Again, there's all seals on here, so hopefully it's still going to be waterproof. I'm just going to slide that on the end, and how much easier does that slide in there now it's cleaned up. So let's give it a wipe. Tighten these up. And hopefully now, moves in and out well, but it did before anyway, it doesn't leak. Now let's have a look at this right hand side hydro block, where the return and the pump is. Base and the flow turbine. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this section first. So take this pin out and remove this. We'll look at the pump later, because we're going to look at this side first. So what we've got here is the flow turbine, low water pressure sensor and the pressure relief valve. Let's have a look at the flow turbine first. I'm going to use an 18mm ring spanner on the plastic bit down at the bottom here. That came off better than I thought it was going to do. Again, these could be a pain getting them off while they're on the boiler. So inside here, oh, so there you go. That is why this hot water wasn't working. The flow turbine has broken up. So, hopefully the one on the other boiler isn't broken, so we can replace it with that one. Next we can look at the low water pressure sensor. Now there is three connections on here. There's a common, there's a normally open and a normally closed. Now they only use the common and the normally open on this one. The normally closed is not there, but we can still test it. So I've got my multimeter set up on the buzzer. So I'm going to go on to my common, and if I go to my normally open, then there should be no buzz, which there isn't. And if I go to my normally closed, there should be a buzz. So that's telling me the low water pressure sensor's working. Let's have a look at this pressure relief valve. Now with the pressure relief valve, if I pull this back here, you can see there's some flaps to get a spanner on there. If this doesn't work, because technically you twist it clockwise to get it to go, to set off, but if I push the cap in and turn it anti-clockwise, it should undo. Here goes. Yes. You just keep pushing in and twisting and it comes out. And look, the cap washer's inside here. So inside here is a seal, a PTFE seal, which goes on there, and then the cup washer, which I'm going to clean up, spray with silicone spray, and hope it's going to be okay. So I've given it a good wash. More silicone spray. I've cleaned up inside here, and that should just screw back on. So, bar that being completely broken, we need to go and get the other one. That side's done, so let's have a look at the pump. Now, first thing I'm going to look at the back of the pump is the auto air vent. This is going to get a spray with the old WD first. Now, need to remove this clip. And then get the grips on it. See if we can get it to come out. There you go. Actually, that looks really clean. But the cap was completely screwed on. So, well, that's surprising, isn't it? The rest of the system's full of muck, but the auto air vent isn't. So I'm sure when I installed it I opened that, but I could have been wrong. But look at that, it's like a new one. Let's give it a spray and put it back. Clip back in. That was easy, wasn't it? So that's that side. Let's check out this pump. Now again, I'm using my multimeter and I've got it on the 2K ohms. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go between the neutral and the live, and we should be getting between 100 and 250 ohms. So neutral and live, what we're getting? 178. And now I can test and see whether we've got a dead short, because if I go from the earth connection, well, I need to turn it onto the buzzer first to make sure that's working. So if I go on the earth terminal and then to the screw in the centre, I should get a buzz, which I do. And if I go to my neutral and to the earth screw, I shouldn't. And if I go to the live and the centre of the screw, I shouldn't. So I haven't got a dead shot. So this pump looks good. So now we know the pump is electrically okay. Let's actually take the head off and see if it is. I found my long reach Allen keys, finally. So, that was slack. That was a bit tighter. So there's 4 screws to get off. And 4. So let's see if we can get the head off. It comes off. So again, that looks pretty clean. There's a little bit of crud inside there, but that's not too bad. So let's give it a spray and clean up and stick it back. So this is the flow turbine I've taken out of here. You can see all broken up. And look, this is the flow turbine I've taken out from the one downstairs. It looks brand new, but there's a problem. They are the same length, but this one in the old one is fixed, where this one is the newer version, which is floating around. So it means the shaft is slightly wider on that one than it is on this one. Now hopefully the bearing, what's inside there, I think it's made of PTFE, has probably ovaled and it's going to allow me to actually put it in. Let's have a look. So if this slides in and spins, we're laughing. It could be going in. Yes, it is. It is going in. So, if I put that on there now, like that, and I tighten it up, like that. If I blow through there and it spins, we're on a good one. It works! Fantastic! So, we could have all the bits cleaned up and ready for going back on the boiler. So, should we do that then? Well, let's have a look and see if this is cleaned. Looks no different at all. Yeah, well, that's done absolutely nothing. But you never know when it's actually put back on and there's hot water running through it. might dislodge something. It's propping up, look. So I guess neat central heating cleaner does nothing unless it's got water in it and it's hot. But I know technically they're not supposed to work unless they're in warm water. It has removed some little bits of crud if we look in the actual bottom of the sink, but anyway, we'll put it back on and we'll see what happens. Houston, we have a problem. So this is the gas connection of this one. As you can see, it's quite a small thin pipe. I've managed to get it out of this cup. I've managed to get this washer out of this cup, and I've found another washer that'll just go on the back and it'll hold in, because this one, look at the difference, completely different. Same length, same connection on the bottom, except this is a 15mm pipe and this has a 3/4 end on it. I've even tried to take the burner out of that other one, and it just means completely dismantling it, and it's slightly different. So even though that one says it's a 24 kilowatt and that one says it's a 24 kilowatt, these are different. Anyway, I think I have managed to sort it out by taking the washer out of that cup, because basically it's the same as that. And I'll lube all this up and it can slide up, and it is atmospheric though, isn't it? So as long as it's not leaking any gas out of here, it's going to go out the top. Anyway, we'll try it, won't we? Because that's what we're here to do. We're trying it. Would I leave that on a job? Not a chance. I'd go and buy another one if they were available. But they're not available, I don't think. They are, but they're not. Anyway, let's carry on. So first thing I want to get in is this left hand side hydro block. Now I've cleaned all the faces up here. The only problem is I'm going to have to use the O-rings off that one, but I am going to put some paste on here. So I'm going to put a bit of paste around here, put the O-ring on, and then paste up the other side of the O-ring. Hopefully they're going to stay on. I'm going to have to do the same with this one. The earth out of the way. O-ring on us again. It won't hurt if I put a bit of excess on there and there. Let's see if I can get this in without the O-rings falling off. Come on, start. Yeah, that one started. That one started. Let's put this back on, which goes on that way. There we go. hopefully that's it. Screw all lines up under there. So that's that side done. Now I've managed to get this hose off the other boiler. This one actually spins. And the other one was completely blocked up. I have checked this one. And it's not blocked. I've given it a rinse through, so it's okay. Need to give it a bit of a silicone spray here, because we need to get it back onto the pump. Bit in there. I have wired this pump in now. Let's see if we can get this in now. Easy with the condensate pipe in the way. Okay. Let's see if I can get this on now. This condensate pipe's a nuisance. That's nearly on. Get my 17 milli spanner. No, is it 17? No, it's 18 milli spanner. That's gone okay. Let's try and get this nut on now with the rubber washer. More silicone. That's gone on. So I'll put the screws in before I tighten that back up. So let's get the screws in. Right, so that's that done. Let's get this gauge on. The washer is still inside this. I didn't want to try and flick it out in case we damaged it. I need my 14 milli spanner now. Let's get this pressure relief valve pipe. There is another O-ring here. Usual, give it a spray. I'll do for now. Let's put these wires on so we can put the flow turbine on, or the Hall effect sensor on the flow turbine, and then we could put the wires on for the low water pressure sensor. They're on, and these for the gas valve. So that's that side in. Let's tighten up this side with the grips. That's both sides in. Let's get the plate on at the back. Now let's get this plate to plate installed. Water goes at the bottom, heating at the top, and the writing tells us we're the right way. So I'm just going to push it up through the back, line it up with this left hand side, line it up with the right. We've got the screws. Hopefully now the rubber washers on the back don't leak. Won't find out until we fill it up. That's one. Right, that's that done. Last to do now is get the gas valve in, but I want to test the gas valve first to make sure it's electrically okay. Now this is the gas valve off the boiler we're working on. I've even taken the one off the others so we can compare them. So I've got my multimeter set on 20k and we have 4 prongs, not 5 prongs here. So I'm just going to go on the 2 outer ones and we should have a reading, which we do. And I'm going to go on these last 2 here, which we've got a reading, which we have, and then I'm going to go on the last one and this one, the second one in. So we've got a reading there. Now this is the earth pin. So if we've got anything with open line to any of these, then it's no good. So this one is looking good. Let's check the other one. So again, if I go on the 2 outer ones, we've got a reading. If I go between these 2, we've got a reading. And if I go between those 2, we've got a reading. And if I go back on the earth, then we should have no open line, which we don't. So both these gas valves are good. Let's get this gas valve in. First thing I'm going to do is put the wires on so we don't forget. Definitely going to put the surf wire on first. because you won't get it on otherwise. That's on. Now we need to get the plug on. Which slides on, and then we need the Phillips screwdriver to screw it up. So that's electrically in. Move that earth wire. Now it's on a slide, so we can do our jiggery pokery. And now we can get the motor on. So we can put the wires in first. This plug will only go in one way. Line that up. I've got it in the right place so when I put the pin in, it's not under pressure, so it goes in easier. So I've got it driven out. So that won't come off. Again, I want to put some silicone spray on there. Hope this works. So, just going to slide that up and then loosely screw it up because it slides into position for us, so I can move this to get us somewhere near. Get my paste up gasket. I can now move that down. Get that screwed up and that screwed up. Not too tight, because now I can put that in the right position and get the screws in underneath, and then I can tighten these up. So that's that. And then yes, get in. Well, that's screwed up. I can go tighten the bottom one first. And then the top, not too tight. That'll do for now. What we've got to do now is put these two wires on. In fact, I think that one went on there. And that one went on there. So, looks like we're done. So, let's get this back in position and then we'll have a look at the top here. Get this combustion cover off. Again, it's just held on with Torque 20 screws. electrodes are going to need cleaning up. And we've got a big crack in the insulation, so hopefully it's not cracked on the other one. Let's go and have a look. This one's in far better nick, a little bit missing there, but no cracks, so we can use that one when we come to put it back. So these electrodes look pretty damn filthy, so we need to give those a clean up. So let's crack on with that then. Now I've cleaned the probes up, so these are ignition flame rectification. Let's just test the lead. So if we go at the bottom here and the end, we should get a buzz. So we're okay on that one. Let's try this one. Yeah, we're good on that one. Try and not get in the way so you can see it. Yeah, we're very good. So now they're cleaned up, they're okay. It's not saying we're not getting a signal down the bottom, but we certainly are along the top, so they're not insulated. So that's a good thing. Last thing I want to check electrically is working is the fan. So live off, neutral off. I've got this in buzzer mode to make sure we've got continuity. So hopefully we get a buzz. Yeah. And we've got a resistance. So hopefully that's working. It's free as a bird. A lot of these have a lot of problems. There's a little sensor on the top here. They have a lot of problems with them, but we'll see how it's going to go. But we've got two fans. Everything else so far we can check once we get power onto it and we get water onto it. So that'll do for this video. Hopefully you've liked this video. Don't forget, if you want our merch, there's a link in the description below. And I'll catch you on part 2, where hopefully we're going to get this up and running.